Hello everyone and welcome to our final video in this series on perfect competition, in which we take a look at some real world markets. So first of all, a thinking task for you. 4 real world markets along the top, and I would like you please to match them with what you think is the most likely market structure given in the second row. Just take a moment or two to do this. Right, welcome back everyone. Let me go on to the second slide, which gives you the answers that I think are most likely the correct ones. So independent coffee shops, these are actually a pretty textbook example of monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition, remember, slightly differentiated products. Google, monopoly. Energy providers, oligopoly, and we could have had any number of industries there, for example, supermarkets. And to my mind, currency markets come very, very close to perfect competition. Okay, so moving on then to the characteristics of competitive markets. So perfect competition may be a textbook benchmark that we use. It is completely unrealistic in the real world, but it is certainly the case that some markets are much more competitive than others. And what we've got on this slide is some of the key characteristics of competitive markets. So starting from the top, we would expect to see firms, industries with many firms having lower prices. We would expect barriers to entry to be reasonably low, and we would certainly expect lower profits and profit margins than in monopoly. Competition may drive entrepreneurial activity, and it is likely that this will push firms towards being productively efficient and efficient. And the final one on here, it's quite likely as well that the threat of competition will drive a faster rate of technological change and technological diffusion. And this will also mean we are likely to see a higher level of dynamic efficiency. Again, continuing with the real world and moving away from competitive markets, in what sorts of ways might markets be much more imperfect, in fact? So first of all, it may be that suppliers have considerable market power and that they're able to exploit their monopoly power and exert control over price. Consumers may have monopsony or buying power against their supplier, and rather than being homogeneous, lots of markets are actually quite heterogeneous due to significant product differentiation, and this can be a barrier to contestability. 2 more causes of imperfect markets. First one on here, rationality. So we've assumed in perfect competition that economic agents are perfectly rational, and they're not, of course. They're not. So they may have imperfect information, they may respond irrationally to the information that they do have. They may experience bounded rationality and adopt heuristics or simple rules of thumb. And the last one on here, it may be, in fact it may well be, that imperfect competition in related markets feeds through into linked markets. One final task for you to try. This comes from a short excerpt here from Tim Harford, writing in 2017, where he's discussing the rise of superstar firms. And the question for you to try: has technological progress and other market changes meant that perfect competition has become more or less of a realistic assumption? So spend a little bit of time on this, 15-20 minutes or so. Try and write an answer with some really nicely developed chains in it, and show your answer to your teacher to make sure that you are on the right track. There we are, the final video in our series on perfect competition.